So previous days, Sayadaw was explaining on 8 kinds of madness. And yesterday, Sayadaw was explaining on Ditthi, madness with wrong view. So by having wrong view, people lose control of their mind and they become mad. In the text, it mentions about 62 kinds of wrong view. And later on, Sayadaw will explain what is the chief or the main of the 62 kinds of wrong view. And Sayadaw will explain that by eradicating the main wrong view, that the other wrong views will automatically be dispelled as well. And Sayadaw also explained on the wrong view on Jiva Atta and Parama Atta, individual soul and supreme soul. If a person does not know distinctly between Nama and Rupa, between mind and matter, then there will be wrong view of this Jiva Atta and Brahma Atta. So if one is not mindful at the moment of arising of these Nama Rupa phenomena, then not knowing distinctly this mind and matter arising in relationship, arising in cause and effect, there will be wrong view about the Creator. And still there are people who are still believing in Creator, who are depending on the Creator, believing that one has to be according to how the Creator creates. And yesterday, Sayadaw explained how they believe on Jiva Atta and Brahma Atta based on their text. And today, Sayadaw will explain how one can overcome this Jiva Atta and Brahma Atta by knowing distinctly between Nama Rupa, mind and matter, and also knowing the cause and effect relation of these Nama Rupa. So the Nama Rupa phenomena are arising at the 6th sense door continuously, and these Nama Rupa are relating as cause and effect. So in order to know this Nama Rupa, mind and matter, one should be mindful at the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing, and so on. So at the moment of seeing, there is only Nama Rupa, mind and matter, mentality and materiality arising at the moment of seeing. So when seeing takes place, there is the eye base where it receives the sight or visible object, and there is this visible object. So the eye base and the visible object, they are rupa, they are materiality. And when the visible object strikes the eye base, there will be seeing consciousness, seeing contact, seeing feeling. So this seeing consciousness, seeing contact, and seeing feeling, they are nama, mentality. So in brief, the eye base and the visible object, it is rupa, materiality, And seeing consciousness, seeing contact, and seeing feeling, they are nama mentality. So at the moment of seeing, there are only these two present. That is the rupa, materiality, and nama, mentality. So the eye base and the visible object, they are rupa. And in Abhidhamma language, it is called rupa khanda, aggregate of materiality. So materiality aggregate. And in the eye base as well, it is made up of small, many clubs of materiality. And also in the visible object, this visible object is also made up of many small clubs of materiality. So at the moment of seeing, there is only mind and matter, mentality and materiality present at the moment of seeing. There is nothing more but only nama and rupa present. At the moment of hearing also, there is only mind and matter, the ear base, and the sound, they are materiality, and hearing consciousness, hearing contact, and hearing feeling, they are mentality. And at the moment of smelling, the nose base and the smell, it is materiality. Smelling consciousness, smelling contact, and smelling feeling, they are mentality. And at the moment of tasting, the tongue, which is the base, and the taste, they are materiality, they are matter. So when eating, there is this tongue where it accepts the taste. And when the food comes into the mouth, when chewing together with the saliva, then one will get the taste of sweet, sour, spicy, pungent, salty, and bitter. So at the time of tasting, the taste that comes into contact with the tongue base, there will be tasting consciousness. And based on whether the taste is good or not, there will be either good feeling or bad feeling. And this feeling also is nama mentality. So at the moment of tasting, the taste and the tongue base, they are materiality, they are matter. And tasting consciousness, tasting contact, and tasting feeling, they are nama. And at the moment of touching also, there is only nama rupa, there is only mind and matter. So in the body, where there is flesh, blood and flesh, there can be touching feeling. So when the body comes into contact with a tangible object, such as hardness, stiffness, warmth, heat, cold, tension, and so on, there will be touching consciousness. So when the body comes into contact with something hard, there will be a feeling, knowing the hardness. When the body comes into contact with heat or cold, there will be the feeling, knowing the heat or cold. So in this way, in the touching process also, there is only mind and matter involved, nothing else more. And also, in knowing also, there is the mind base, and also there is object, mental objects. So when mental objects come into contact with the mind base, there will be knowing. So at the moment of knowing also, there are only two things involved, mind and matter. So in the West, they believe that the mind is situated in the brain, but in Abhidhamma, the mind is actually situated in the heart base. So when there are thoughts, mental images, then there will be mental images which are paṇḍitā, which arise in the past, future and present. So these mental images and so on, it will strike the mind base, and there will be knowing, and there will be mental seeing, mental hearing and so on. So that's also in the knowing there is only nama rupa involved. So in the sixth sense door, the objects are striking the sixth sense door, and there will be seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching and so on. So at the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, touching and so on, there are only two things, mind and matter, involved. So in the practice, it is enough to understand that there is only mind and matter involved in seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing and so on. So in order to know that the nama rupa, mind and matter, are arising in pair, one needs to be mindful at the moment of arising. So one needs to be mindful at the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing, in order to know the mind and matter distinctly. So when the yogi notes with effort, then there will be concentration, samadhi, and when concentration develops, yogi will come to know or understand the materiality, gross or rough materiality, and later on the yogi will also come to know the subtle materiality and also the mentality. So in order to know this mind and matter distinctly, one should note at the moment of arising. So in every seeing, hearing, tasting, touching and so on, there is only mind and matter. There is nothing else but mind and matter. There is no soul, no atta involved in seeing, hearing. There is only mind and matter. So in order to be free from this wrong view of jiva atta, in order to be free from the wrong view of individual soul, one needs to be mindful at the moment of arising. So this is the theory. So you should understand combining with the theory and through your personal practice. So in the text, there is the word dhatu, dhatu or element. So dhatu is the element which bears the nature, which bears the true intrinsic nature. So in nama rupa, they have their own nature, they have their own characteristics. So they have their own ability, they have their own function and manner, and this nama rupa, they have their own nature and characteristic. For example, to understand, Sayadaw give an example. At the moment of hearing, then at the moment of hearing, the sound comes into contact with the hearing consciousness at the ear base, and there will be good hearing feeling, bad hearing, feeling, and so on. So at the moment of hearing, there are only 3 elements. The first one is receptor element, the second one is striker element, and the third one is ignition element. So there is this receptor, which is the ear base. So at the ear base, the object strikes. So in the hearing, the sound waves strikes the receptor. So the ear base is the receptor, and the sound wave which strikes the ear is the striker element. So at the ear base, the sound waves strikes. So there will be coming into contact between the sound and the hearing consciousness. So at the moment of hearing, the striker is the sound wave, receptor is the ear base, and hearing consciousness is ignition element. And when the sound comes into contact with the hearing consciousness in the ear, there is contact, hearing contact. So this hearing contact is also ignition element. And there will be good hearing feeling, bad hearing feeling. So this hearing feeling is also ignition element. So at the moment of hearing, there are only 3 elements involved. Sound wave, which is the striker element, ear base, which is receptor element, and the hearing consciousness, hearing contact, and hearing feeling is the ignition element. So at the moment of hearing, there is only nama rupa, there is only 3 elements, striker, receptor, and the ignition. So there is nothing more. Where goes the jiva atta? Where is the individual soul? Is this individual soul in the ear? Is this individual soul in the sound? Or is this jiva atta in the hearing consciousness? So at the moment of hearing, there is only nama rupa, mind and matter. So this nama rupa, mind and matter itself is not a soul, and also there is no soul involved in the nama rupa. So by theory itself, it is quite clear that there is no jiva atta. So in the same way, at the moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing, there are only 3 things: the striker element, the receptor element, and the ignition element. So Saraji gives another example. If you have a piece of paper, magnifying glass, if you let the sun rays go through the magnifying glass onto a piece of paper, then the paper will get burnt. So if there is the question, where did the flame come from? So one will easily answer, the flame came from the paper. So this answer is not complete. If you leave the paper alone without a magnifying glass and without letting the sun rays pass through the magnifying glass, then there will be no spark, there will be no fire, no flame. Because the sunlight, sun rays pass through the magnifying glass, and the magnifying glass collects the sun ray and then letting it on the paper, then there is flame, the flame come out. So this flame arises due to the circumstances. There must be the sun rays, the magnifying glass, and the paper. So when the sun rays go through the magnifying glass onto the paper, then there will be flame. So in this example, the sun rays are striker element, magnifying glass is like receptor element, and the flame or spark on the paper is like ignition element. So this burning of the paper arises due to the circumstances. So in order to know this element, one needs to have this theory, and there is Paramattha, ultimate truth. So this Paramattha which really exists, so that's why they are true nature which really exists. They are called ultimate truth. So if the theory one gets from imagining, speculation, then there will be wrong, there will be right and wrong if one gets this theory through imagination or thinking. And what you learn from the teacher also, there will be things that are right and they are wrong. And even the teaching given by the Buddha, if you just learn it in theory, and if you don't know how to understand it, then you will understand it. You can understand it in the wrong way and in the right way as well. So only the things that you understand through your personal experience of practice will be correct. So in Pali it is called Atta Paccaka. Atta Paccaka means what you come to understand through your personal experience of practicing meditation. So just like when you see something with your eye, which is at your eyesight, you will see it clearly, distinctly. So in the same way, what you come to understand through your personal experience of this meditation practice will be correct, because it is not just imagination, but it is what you understand through your personal experience of practice. So it is important to know the Paramattha, it is important to know the true nature, it is important to know the ultimate truth. So in order to know this Paramattha, ultimate truth, one needs to be mindful. One needs to observe at the moment of arising. In order to observe at the moment of arising, you need to put effort. If you note with effort, there will be sustained mindfulness, and you will come to know the true nature, and you will understand this Paramattha, ultimate truth. So Saraji gives an example which is obvious. When you sit down from standing position, so this sitting down process is also made up of Nama Rupa, mind and matter. So when you sit down, there is a series of intention to sit. So this series of intention to sit is Nama, it is mentality, it is the mind. And then the actual sitting down of the body becomes heavier, stiff. So the actual sitting down, stage by stage, is the rupa, it is materiality. So if one is not mindful at the moment of sitting down, then one will think it is I who is sitting down. It is the soul that is sitting down. And in the past as well, there is the soul sitting down, and in the future as well, there will be the soul or the I sitting down. So if one is not mindful at the moment of sitting down, then one will not know that there is only nama rupa, mind and matter, in the sitting down process. And one will think it is the being, it is the I, or it is the soul sitting down. So in order to know the nama rupa involved in sitting down, that is the series of intention to sit down and the actual sitting down of the body, one needs to note at the moment of sitting down. So when one sits down, there is first the intention to sit. You must note the intention, and when you sit down also, you must note the actual sitting down. Only then you will know this nama rupa. The intention to sit down is the nama, mentality. The actual sitting down of the body is the rupa, materiality. So by being mindful at the moment of sitting down, you come to know this nama, rupa, mind and matter. So in order to know this nama, rupa, mind and matter at the moment of sitting, you need to be mindful. You need to aim the mind towards this sitting, and you need to put effort so that the noting mind will fall on the sitting. So in this way, you have to be mindful continuously at the moment of sitting. So when you note, for example, this sitting down, even though if you do not develop knowledge, wisdom, but when the noting mind falls on this object of sitting down, the mind is controlled and there will be concentration. So when the noting mind falls on the object, there will be mindfulness, there will be concentration, so there will not be any madness with greed. So this madness with greed will momentarily be dispelled. There is no aversion or anger. So this aversion, anger, hatred has no chance to arise when you are able to note the object. So by knowing this nama rupa, by noting on the object, one does not indulge in moha, so there will not be madness with moha, delusion. So in this way, when you are mindful at the moment of sitting down, you come to know the nama rupa involved in the sitting down process. You come to know the nama rupa distinctly because you are mindful at the moment. And by knowing this mind and matter distinctly, you will overcome the wrong view of jiva atta. You will overcome this wrong view of individual soul. So overcoming this wrong view, you are also said to be overcoming ditthi mataka. You are overcoming madness with wrong view. So at the moment of sitting down, there is the series of intention to sit. So this series of intention to sit is called namakaya. It is group of mentality. And the actual sitting down, when the body becomes heavier and heavier, there is new and new materiality arising one after another, heavier and heavier. So this materiality is called Rupakaya, group of materiality. So what is present at the moment of sitting down is the Namakaya and Rupakaya. So this Kaya, group of mentality, group of materiality, really exists at the moment of sitting down. So that's why they are called Santo Kayo, the Nama Rupa that really exists at the moment. Santo means Vichamana means which is presently existing. So it is not something that has existed in the past, not that will exist in the future, but it is something that is existing at the present moment. So in order to know this Namakaya and Rupakaya that really exists at the moment of arising, you need to be mindful of this presently arising object. So then you will understand this Sakkaya, the mind and matter that really exists at the moment of arising. It is also called Attapacchaka because one comes to know it through one's own experience of observing, being mindful when this object sitting down is taking place. So it is something which one has known through his or her experience. So that's why it is called Sakkaya. At the moment of seeing or at the moment of sitting, the Nama Rupa that really exists. So if one is not mindful at the moment of arising, in this case, the sitting down, what one will come to know wrongly is that it is I who is sitting down. It is the Jiva Atta, individual soul, sitting down. So this wrong view of Jiva Atta is called Sakkaya Ditthi, personality view of wrong view of personality. So this Sakkaya Ditthi arises in the person who is not mindful, so that he/she does not know the Nama Rupa, mind and matter, which really exists in the sitting down process, and comes to take it as it is I or individual soul who is sitting. So it is called Sakkaya Ditthi, personality view. So at the moment of seeing, hearing and so on, there are only three elements: the receptor element, striker element and the ignition element. So if one is not mindful at the moment of arising, one will not know. If one is not mindful, there will not be concentration. When there is no concentration, one will not know the truth. So there will be no Attapacchaka. One will not know through one's own experience. So not knowing the truth through one's own experience, there will be delusion, uncertainty, and also one will come to accept wrong view that there is Atta. So when one knows wrongly, there will be wrong view, and one will take it as there is Atta. So in the 62 kinds of wrong view, this Sakkaya Ditthi, the personality view, it is the main, it is the chief. So when this Sakkaya Ditthi, personality view is present, then all the other wrong view will also arise. So some people have wrong view that there is atta, there exists atta. Some believe that atta does not exist, and some people have the view that atta neither exists nor does not exist. So it is Ditthi madness with wrong view. So when one can overcome this Sakkaya Ditthi personality view, then one will also overcome this Ditthi being mad with wrong view. So in order to overcome this madness, one should practice Satipatthana meditation. By practicing Satipatthana meditation, one will discern mind and matter that really exists. So it will become atta paccaka, knowledge through one's own experience. At the moment of sitting down, there is the series of intention, and this series of intention to sit down is the nama mentality, and the actual sitting down is the rupa materiality. So there is only nama rupa, mind and matter at the moment of sitting. So there is no atta, no soul or no person sitting down. In order to know it truly, one needs to observe, one needs to be mindful at the moment of sitting down. So when the noting mind falls on this intention, the yogi comes to understand this nama mentality. When the noting mind falls on the stiffness, tension, movement, heaviness, then this yogi is coming to know the materiality. So by knowing the materiality, by knowing the stiffness, tension, movement, heaviness and so on, one also automatically knows the nama mentality as well. So one will not know at the same time of these two, mind and matter. If one comes to know the matter, one also knows the mind. So tomorrow Sayadaw will also explain how this nama rupa can be known distinctly. In order to overcome this wrong view, in order to overcome this madness with wrong view, one needs to understand distinctly between mind and matter. By knowing this mind and matter distinctly, one overcomes this madness with wrong view momentarily. But if one wishes to overcome this Ditthi permanently, one needs to practice to become a Sotapanna. Becoming a Sotapanna, one will totally overcome this Ditthi.